Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. Get that all set right up. Thursday, September the 7th. How is it the end of the first week of September? That doesn't even make sense in my mind. I think some of it's the trip. I went away and the entire half the summer went away. Although I suspect for many other people out there, the summer went by just as quickly. It's just one of those things. Time goes by too quickly these days. It's another great Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could join us today. If you're here live, we're starting a little later than we would usually. Mr. Black, it was an exciting day for Mr. Black. This is a big moment. It's momentous. So it's a mark your calendar moment in the Johnston household. And it just so happened to coincide with the fact that because I've only slept for fucking 7 hours in the last 2 nights combined, I was thinking we were starting at 4 like it was 3 years ago, and so it didn't matter anyway. I was upstairs. Jeff texted me on Discord. It's like, hey bro, can we start around 4 o'clock? I'll let him know why this is happening. It was going to start around 4 o'clock. Got something going on. I was like, oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that works for me. As I was up on the couch about to have a fucking nap after my stream, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. We haven't started at 4 for fucking ages.
It's been a while. It's been a while, Adam. You all right? Is everything okay?
I'm going through it over here, but that's okay. I'll let you explain what the big momentous occasion it was, and also the most important question of the week, Mr. Black. How's your week?
It's been a hectic week this week. Normally it's just another normal week, but my son started school today. So yesterday we had like orientation, meeting like the kids, the teachers, kind of having
the
a
usual
feel for everything, the usual. And then Caleb started her own little cleaning business. So she actually went to work today. So
I found that out. We were walking to the car this morning to take Em to work, and Em was like, I wonder how Caleb's first day of her cleaning business is gonna go. And I went, excuse me?
Yeah.
She said, I saw her post. I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea that's what was gonna happen. But how did that go? Was it a successful first run?
Yeah, it was good. She has to go back over there tomorrow. I mean, she's cleaning like a big 5,000 square foot house. So, and usually you want to have 2 people to do something that big. But she's doing it by herself right now. The reason why is like, I mean, I've got a lot of friends in real estate, so a bunch of people own Airbnbs. So, it's a luxury Airbnb. It's like fucking, it's super nice.
Massive.
Yeah, massive. So yeah, my buddy said because there's no bookings, they're like, if you want to do it by yourself, like you can take 2 days. It's not a big deal.
Not a rush.
Time, not a rush. So she said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. So after we both dropped Kai off at school first thing in the morning, then I went right to the gym. She went right to work, and then after the gym, I went to where she was cleaning the house. Brought her a coffee. Kind of looked at the house. Then stopped at my buddy's house, who owns the Airbnb like 2 blocks away. And he got a new car, so I was checking that out. And then I came home, streamed, and then here I am. I went to go pick up. I thought Kai got out of school at 3:30, but today apparently it was like an hour early. So I went over to the school. I'm like sitting in the parking lot. I don't see any kids. There's a bunch of cars, but like I don't see any kids, no parents outside. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Then I see one of Kai's teachers come out of the school, like get in her car. I'm like, hey,
am I missing something here?
My son there? She was like, they were out an hour ago. I was like, oh, so I text Kayla. And she's like, yeah, I got Kai. We just went back to the Airbnb to take the laundry out and whatnot. And then she was like, I'm already back home. So I was like sitting at the school chilling. So then I drive home and then, anyway. So that's basically been our week. Just like Kayla's just been prepping. We had to buy like a shit ton of cleaning stuff. And she was doing I was helping her do some research and different things, and then she just went out and picked up everything, and then she's working. So there's been a hectic week here at my house, to say the least. He had a good day at school. He's super like I come home and I'm like, hey Kai, my wife's like, oh, when I picked him up, he came and gave me this big hug, like, that I hadn't seen him in forever, because it's like the first time, like.
Well, it's almost like a dog. You get home and it's like, you've been gone for 5 days, because like time goes so slow, right?
Exactly, right? And then I come home and I'm like, hey, Kai. And he's sitting there on the sofa with the Nintendo Switch. And I'm like, hey, Kai, come give me a hug. Tell me how your day was. And he's like, no, I'm playing the Switch. I'm like, what? I'm like, put the Switch down and come give me a hug and tell me how your day was. He said, no, I just want to chill. I'm like, bro, I just sat at your school for 40 minutes waiting for you. I come home and dude, I was salty, man. I was like,
you got the shit end of that deal.
So anyway, I took his Switch, right? I took the Switch. I'm like, you ain't playing the Switch then. You're gonna, you can't tell me how your first day of school was. Like, so I take the Switch and all of a sudden he loses his mind. Like the Switch. I'm like, no, you ain't getting the Switch. You don't get to treat me like that. You don't get to like dismiss me and play the Switch. You can try it again tomorrow. So he was losing his fucking shit. And then all of a sudden now he wants to tell me about how his day was because now the Switch is gone. I'm like, bro, you can tell me how your day was, but you ain't getting the Switch. So you don't have to wait till tomorrow. So it's just been, I just can't win today, bro. I'm just getting it. But hey, it is what it is. To be fair, I mean, he's, I know he's tired. He had a big day. It's been a lot of, kids.
But it was a good day. It sounds like his first day was a good day.
It was a good day. Apparently, Kayla told me that he had because they're outside for like 2.5 hours a day. So there's like playgrounds and they spend like half the day because it's pre-primary. So it's it's not primary. It's
this is literally like an orientation for the orientation of school. Yeah.
It's free daycare. It's free daycare. That's what it is, right?
Yes.
And he gets to socialize and things like that, learn some social skills.
And get used to I get to wake up and go to this place for this much time and the schedule of it. Yeah.
Correct. So apparently they were out playing. He trips on a stick or something and he scuffs his knee up, right? And he's hysterical. And he goes over to the teacher and he's like my knee, and the teacher's like, well, can I see it? And he's like, no. He gets like, he's like, no, he's like, he doesn't want to see it, blah blah blah. And then the teacher was like, okay, well then stop crying. And he didn't like that too much. He didn't know he was like stun locked, right?
Like, I don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah, she was like, you can either show me or just stop crying and go play. And he stopped crying. He went and kept playing him. I was like, okay, I was like, hey, he's got to learn this shit, man. He's got to learn this shit. Because
that's a hot parent tip.
Yeah, like, because usually he'd fucking do it. He'd be screaming. Like, if he hurts himself, like he's like walkie scuffs, he runs right to his mother, right? Like,
of course.
And I'm like, yo, Kai, let me see. No! And I'm like, bro. Like, I can do the same thing she can do, right? So he tried that with the teacher, and the teacher was like,
nah.
Okay, well, it ain't working with me. So you just can't. And then he just went and played. So, it is what it is. That's the first day.
That's not the teacher's first rodeo. The teacher
hell no.
That teacher has seen the exact same thing 4 million times. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Had the answer for that off the bat.
And I was happy when Kayla told me that. I'm like, good. Like, good. He's got to learn. He's got to learn. Bro,
and more importantly, he just did it, which is good. Like, he didn't, continue to make a big deal about it. He just went
mind and where's mom and blah, blah, blah. He just, went off and did his thing. So that was my day. It's been a day.
That's fantastic. That is the classic parent hack. That's what my mom did. When I was young, I'd like, if I fucked myself up and I'd be like, and she'd look at it and she'd go, you want me to cut it off? And that was it. That was literally like her response for everything. As long as I was physically not going to a hospital, mom's response was, you want me to amputate it? It's like, no. Okay, then go back and play.
Get going.
See you, bye.
Bro,
and
as
you know what? It's a hack. It's a life hack. Because as a kid, you're like, well, I can't argue with that logic. So
no. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I just I thought Kayla was doing this whole new venture and M was of course very interested with it because when she first got here, her first year or so was cleaning business as well to like help pay for all the schooling and shit, and so she'd work in the old folks home until whatever hour, and then she'd go clean houses with a couple of Filipino girls.
Yep.
And so they'd work like fucking 18 hours a goddamn day or some crazy shit. And then she'd go to bed and wake up and go back to the old folks' home and do the whole thing all over again. But it was the same thing. Like when you said it was like, some 5,000 square foot home, I was like, well, how many people are paying for cleaners that don't have a 5,000 square foot home? It's a very short list. It's not like a lot of people in residential areas like me, like, all right, I've got 900 square feet of fantastic home for you to clean today, and it's going to take you 5 minutes. It's more like, I've got a house that I haven't even seen all of because I haven't been able to see the other side of it for not being here long enough, but I need you to clean it. And you're like, okay, fine. And that's kind of what she was saying she did, was just like all over the city, big fucking enormous homes that take them like the entire fucking day to just like, and you learn like how to clean efficiently and fast.
Correct.
And
so that was our thing. It's like, I told Kayla, because Kayla's a cleaner, she likes doing it, and she doesn't have to work, but like, also she doesn't want to sit at home all day and do nothing.
Go stir crazy.
So, yeah, she goes stir crazy. So it gets her out, get a little independence, make a bit of money, and she can pick her own schedule. But we took this job on because I know the owner. And then she can take her time since there is no booking afterwards. It's not something that she would want to do like this size by herself all the time, but like once a week. It's a very high end, like we're talking $1,500 to $2,000 a night to stay in this house. So it's not like booked 24/7. So she'll go in and whatever, and she makes decent money. It's like, it's good money, man. There's there's money
Em was saying the Filipino girl that ran like the business she worked for. Yeah. She said she worked basically nonstop, but she said, and it was not easy. Like, you're basically just like physical labor all day, fucking like or whatever, right? But she said she made like the head lady made some fucking money when she did that. When you get like your clientele and you've got that list and you're just plowing through it.
That's it.
She said she was making some pretty good money.
So that's what she's going to work on. She's going to slowly build up. I've got a bunch of buddies in real estate. I'm in real estate. So it's not going to be a problem. And cleaners are wanted everywhere. Yeah. But she did this because she can choose what days she wants. So if she's got to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, she wants to take every Thursday off for like get groceries and have a her day and just do whatever. And then Friday and then the weekends she has off typically. So she'll figure out a schedule and then she can work like 20 hours a week and then do whatever. So she seems to be enjoying it. I mean, I haven't really talked to her all that much because it's her first day, so I'll talk to her tonight, but it's a lot of change happening in my household in one week. One day. Yeah. So it's a lot. Emotions are high. There's a lot going on. But it's all good. It's all good stuff. It's just it's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't have any children to put through school, so nothing like that happened here this week. The closest thing to children I dealt with were putting new rose bushes in the ground. That was as exciting as my week was. We finally got the weather. Like before we went to the Philippines, my aunt and uncle, my dad's sister, they've got, they don't have kids, and so their whole, they travel and then they have their vineyard and gardens, and like that's their children is all the plants and all that shit. And as it turns out, to run a vineyard takes some time for two people, so it's an event. So anyway, they have greenhouses and shit, and they've just loaded to the gills with roses. Rose bushes that they were doing in the greenhouses, and so they had put aside a whole bunch of rose bushes for us of various varieties before we had gone to the Philippines, and we went to go pick them up. And when we were going there, I was like, oh, we're gonna get like I'll get like 4 rose bushes or some shit, and I'll put them around the property, whatever the fuck. We got the back of the house, that ridge that we have. I don't want to mow it, so I'm like, I might have to fucking put some shit up there. And so we get there, they had 13 fucking rose bushes.
Damn.
13 rose bushes. I said, excuse me, my Rev was literally fucking to the roof with rose, but we had dirt all over the place. I literally just had the car cleaned like 3 days previously, and it just ripped, gone, just all dirt everywhere. So we had those in the backyard, and we had to wait. You either had to plant them. Someone said print them. You had to plant them either earlier in the season, or you have to wait until like early fall where we are now. Otherwise, they tend to just like scorch earth if you put them in too much in the summer. So we left them in their pots while we were gone to the Philippines, and we got back, waited for some good weather and the energy to do so, and went outside and did that. So that was a 6 or so 7 hours of straight hole digging and rock picking, and I was dead on the other side of that bitch. I was not prepared for that much physical activity, not even a little bit. It was just a lot of work that I was not used to having to do, and I was still kind of tired from COVID. I didn't have my endurance, not winded, but just no fucking endurance to save my life. But we got there. We got all 13 in the ground, and they will mostly fill the back ridge. There's a part of the ridge where the bedrock is too close to the surface, so you couldn't plant them there if you wanted to. And so we put them in a couple of different places, and that was the exciting height of my week, was planting shit and clipping stuff around the property that hadn't been clipped in God knows how fucking long. The previous owner had not touched any of that in years, and so there are now evergreens and shit that are way just fucking...
They're just gone, bro.
And you know what the shitty part is about that? If you want to keep an evergreen like bush or anything like that, once it's gone kind of wild, is you can't just like cut fucking 7 inches off of it, because you're down to literally bare, like there's nothing, you're just cutting wood at that point. There's nothing for it to gather sunlight with, and so you have to like slowly reduce it over years if you want to keep it. And so we're gonna not follow that rule. My plan is this: I'm gonna cut it to where I need it, and if it dies, it dies.
If it dies, it dies.
Exactly. That was the. If it does, it dies. And that's exactly how I feel about it. So we're gonna tackle that at some point. But otherwise, that was it. That and Baldur's Gate. I played 90 hours.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Of Baldur's Gate.
God damn.
I did another 4 hours of it today before the podcast. I'm trying to get through it because I want to get around to Starfield before I'm 90 years old. Even though that game just came out, it's 90 hours. There's very few games that I've played for 90 hours where at the 90-hour mark I'm going, man, I hope there's another 40 hours.
I can think of almost none.
Yeah, it's just
90
not
hours
a very long list.
on a single-player game. I can think of maybe none. I mean, the closest thing would be something like Oblivion or something but
yes.
Even then, it's like,
you have to take a break and come back, and like you can't just marathon that shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
And I do appreciate that when you're in a position, like a streamer or content creator where you are doing 90 hours in an 8-day period or some shit. That's not normal. That's not the normal video game player experience. Are there people that just know life that shit after work?
Sure.
Yes, absolutely, that exists. But it's not meant to be fucking mainlined like that. And so I appreciate that maybe some of, what I'm experiencing of the burnout would not have happened if it wasn't for the fact that I was literally just fucking melting my face off with it for like 10 straight days. So I get it, but nevertheless, it is getting a bit long in the tooth for me, and I look forward to finishing it. It's been good. It's just 90 hours is a long time for any fucking game, and I think it's probably going to be almost 120 by the time I'm at the end of it.
Jesus, no.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's kind of fucking bonkers. So we get that, and then we'll hop into Starfield, which I also hear is a very short video game. So we'll follow that up real quick and see how that goes. But I am looking forward to seeing whether or not it is all that it's cracked up to be or not. There does seem to be some differing opinions, so I look forward to playing that. But that's been mostly it. And so, with that, Mr. Black, it's time to talk about some video games. I gotta be honest with you, dude. I am trying so hard right now not to scratch the 4 trillion bug bites that I have on my legs from said 2 days of being outside gardening. I I obviously didn't put nearly enough bug spray on, but I had bug spray, and I didn't feel any of these motherfuckers bite me the whole time that I was out there. Not a single one.
That's the worst.
Em was getting bitten, and she reacts immediately. So you look at her leg and be like, "Oh, you've been bitten like 14 seconds ago." Like you can literally just see it, like it immediately swells up. On my legs, I didn't see shit. I didn't feel shit. And 2 days later, I look like a fucking war zone. I had landmines all up and down my fucking legs, and it has been driving me insane. The reason why I haven't slept much, bug bites. I wake up at like fucking after 4 hours of sleep, and my legs, I try so hard not to scratch, because if you scratch, it makes it worse. And I'm concentrating so fucking hard. I'm like, just thinking about literally fucking anything, going to my happy place, failing miserably, and I have been tearing my legs off for the last fucking 48 hours. And so if you see me constantly going down, that's what I'm doing. I'm scratching, probably until I bleed, because these bug bites are, for whatever reason, viciously fucking itchy for some reason. I need to get some of that after bite. Remember when you were a kid, you had like that pen that's like liquid, like it had like alcohol or whatever, and you'd like dab it on the thing, and it stung like a motherfucker? I need that in my life. I haven't seen that pen in a million years. I need to find it. We used to have one at Mom and Dad's that was like fucking 40 years old. Shit still worked every time you use it. I don't know where it is, but I need it desperately in my fucking life. Anyway, video game news, Mr. Black. SAG-AFTRA. I know that typically this would be in the movies and TV section, but it is sort of pertaining to video games this week, as they, a couple of days ago, sent over a strike authorization to the interactive media and video game branch, as they thought about it and went, hey, there's a number of voice actors and other types of actors and actresses in the video game and interactive media space that aren't involved in this current strike, that are also under, fall under the AI is coming, and so maybe they too should go on strike at the same time so that we can just unified get all of this done and dusted at once. And it just so happens also, from what I've read, that the agreement that the interactive media side is under is a little bit past date. They haven't re-signed or renegotiated a new one. It was kind of a little bit overdue. So we don't know if they've accepted that yet or have agreed to strike, at least not as of 8 hours ago, but maybe that changed. It is a Thursday, as we've discovered here. Everything fucking happens on a Thursday, so maybe it's happened since I wrote this, but nevertheless, we're kind of waiting. It was a couple of days ago they sent it, and it could be quite possible that this could go through, which means that some games in development that haven't done their recordings and whatnot yet could be affected, much like a lot of the movies and television shows that are currently on hold while all of this stuff is ongoing. And so we'll wait and see. If we get an update on that, we'll let you guys know. But right now, haven't heard anything more about it other than to say that they have sent that over to them. And honestly, I gotta say, I think video games, it's almost, in terms of like the voice acting stuff, I think they're probably at a bigger risk than movies and TV. The digital space, a little easier to get away with artificial intelligence for voices, voice acting type stuff. And if it is in a situation similar to movies and TV where they were saying, all right, well, if you sign this contract to do this thing, then we have the ability to use your voice in perpetuity, et cetera, all of the wonderful fucking legalese that they strap into every one of these contracts, that unless you have a team of lawyers combing through it extensively, you may get caught with your pants down, and all of a sudden, you've kicked the bucket, but they're still using your likeness in the movie fucking 15 years later, and your family is getting $0.00 out of it because of said contract. So, I do hope that they strike to a degree, and I hope that this strike goes favorably, for the actors and actresses within reason, because that kind of shit, as much as the studios want to say, oh, this is like over the top and whatever, having stuff like that, anything in perpetuity, or being able to use somebody's sound, like their voice or their likeness and whatnot, and have zero kickback for anyone ever because you paid them some money once, is insane. And so hopefully that doesn't continue to be the case. Have you heard anything? I know that we're not in that segment yet. I have, and you'll notice in my notes, Mr. Black, in segment 2 it says tumbleweeds, because I didn't find a single fucking thing this week. So did you hear anything else about the strike? Are we still just at a standstill kind of deal?
I think that they were discussing I think they were negotiating, but I think it's on the.
Their
I don't
date?
know. Yeah, no, I don't know. It was either was it the writers or the actors? I think it was the actors. I'm not sure. There was like a small update that I heard yesterday about like Warner Brothers have lost between $300 and $500 million since the strike, and that there were going to be some talks, but there's still nothing that is concrete or anything like that, so it could still be going on for a little while.
Yeah, and like you said before, I think we were talking about this, and obviously it would be the case. The actors are going to get a deal long before the writers do. The writers are going to be the ones struggle busing, and I think what the writers are hoping for is that the actors hold out with the writers until they come to them with a unified agreement and not try to, divide and conquer. Divide and conquer them on that front. And so far, the actors are holding out, and a lot of big names have been extremely supportive of the writers. So this might continue to go on for for some time, for better or worse. Apparently, Final Fantasy 16 did well enough to warrant some more content, Mr. Black. According to Yoshida this week, they'll be working on 2 paid DLCs. And they pushed some updates to the game as well that are out now that include some quality of life improvements like Torgal, which is the dog in that game, actually healing you for more than 3 HP, which is great. Because when I was playing the game, Torgal, which is that dog you would have seen in all the promotional material, he's a party member throughout the game, and he has a healing spell. And you can ask Torgal in combat, you can yell his name, you're like, yo, hit me the fuck up with some heals. And you learn about an hour into the game that even only an hour into the game, that dog is not healing shit. It was like actually 3 health. Like, no, the needle didn't even move. You look at your health bar and you'd see like a 3 pixel fucking shift in your health bar. And you're like, thanks, Torgal. Appreciate the fucking help. And so apparently that's being changed. And they had some other stuff. I think there was like a couple outfits that they added. There was a skin for Clive's sword to allow him to keep his father's sword, which you get in like the early game, but then for some reason it just goes away. Things like that. But they are doing 2 paid DLCs. They were waiting to see how the game did before they made any decisions on this. I remember them saying early on, people were asking, so is this going to be like, this is just it? And they were saying, yeah, there's no DLC. We're just making a complete game, and that's the show. And then after that, they were like, but if the game does really well, clearly we'll have to think about whether or not we should do some DLC. And they obviously sold a shitload of these games, and so they have been given the green flag, the go-ahead to do some DLC. So we don't know what that is.
I can honestly say, it's 2023. DLC has been a thing now probably for, I don't know,
somewhere circa 2005, 2006. Like, I guess. I was
going to say about 10 years.
Do we call Horse Armor in Oblivion the first DLC?
Well, okay. There's been DLC much longer than 10 years, but I'm talking about not like.
You mean like DLC items. Culture? Like the big full-blown?
Like the big full-blown, like almost. Like another chunk of a game type
like the
shit.
Season passy type stuff and
exactly.
whatnot. Yeah.
You know, that's been like a big prominent thing for about 10 years, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 13 years or 14 years. And I can say, and I don't know anybody watching this live or in the comment section, I fucking hate DLC. I hate it.
Like all DLC, no exceptions, just like all DLC in general.
I think virtually every piece of DLC ever made is hot garbage. And here's why.
Okay.
It's not the money thing.
Right.
It's like, it's okay, sure. You spend an extra bit of money, you can play some more, whatever.
Because typically back then it was like $15, $20, $10.
Yeah,
now it's like $70.
Yes. And it's like, for me, I like the idea of somebody just making a game, putting the game out, and that's the show. I'm old school. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just fucking jaded and old and just a prick. I mean, I don't know. But the thought like when I hear news like, oh, Final Fantasy 16 is going to get 2 paid DLCs. What exactly does that do? Like, it just keeps people, I guess, you might make another $29.99 or $19.99 or $39.99. I don't know how big the shit is. For what? You've already beaten the game. You've already done it. And DLC typically takes like a year, 2 years, like big substantial DLC. You know, games did kind of get shicey when like the big Mass Effect thing that happened years ago, where they had the game made and then they were like, oh, but there's DLC that you can like pay for.
Yeah,
and the game just came out, and it's like, what are you doing? Why not just put this shit in the game? It's already made. It's very skeezy. And I personally, when I beat a game, I'm done with it. It's over. I think the only time I've ever played DLC was when I played Dark Souls, and I had played Dark Souls so long after the game had already come out that like you just bought basically a package.
It came with
everything. It wasn't like, oh, I beat Dark Souls and then a year later there's 5 new bosses and 2 new areas, and it's all, I can't wait to pay more money and just go and play this for 4, 5, 6 hours and be done with it. I'm not a fan of it. Instead of making DLC and 2 more paid DLCs, why not just let the game be and then make another Final Fantasy? You're going to make another Final Fantasy anyway. But that's just how I feel about it. I just don't get excited about DLC at all. It obviously was not that important, or it would have been in the game in the first place, and it just it feels like a money grab. It feels like I think the closest thing that okay, say you're watching Game of Thrones. And you watch Game of Thrones and season 3. You finish season 3. The show is over. It's done. You got your big closure. Everything's happened, whether you like it or you don't. And then the makers or the creators go, you know what? Hey, we're going to have 2 more or 3 miniseries episodes afterwards. And, you know, yeah, sure. Okay, sign me up. If it's free, I'll just watch it. But they're asking you to pay. You're already paying $19.99 for HBO, but they come out and they're like, hey, for these episodes, it's going to cost you $9.99. And what do these 3 episodes do? I don't know. Do they tease the next series? Is it just more added things that, like, really just after the fact, you're like, you want to just do? It's, I'm just not a fan of it. I'm not a fan. The closest thing that I like is, my trash TV shows that I like to watch, like Love is Blind, right? Love is Blind.
Yeah.
And then typically they'll have like a year later, and then you can watch like 2 episodes a year later, but it's free, and then you just watch it. It takes an hour of your life, and it's done. But when it comes to a video game, I just find it's a little bit different, and I'm just not into it, and it costs money.
Yeah, I'm like new age DLC, which is a really broad category now. Like when we say DLC. Back, 10, 15 years ago, DLC was a very kind of specific. It wasn't a very broad category, right? Because there were 2 categories. There was expansions and expansion packs,
okay,
right? And then there were DLC, which typically were like more like the first real major hits of what would be called now a microtransaction, right? So you had expansions. So like back in the day, let's say Morrowind came out, or StarCraft got Brood War. Morrowind had 2 expansion packs that came out afterwards. Same with like Oblivion and Skyrim. They would have like big chunks of like, here's 20 hours of more content in a new island piece or some shit that you can either go into the game that you've already finished, because when you finish an Elder Scrolls game, the game just continues, and you can just go there. Or if you start a new file, there's a progression of story events that leads you to being able to do it, whatever you want to do. So like for me, but the new age stuff is like expansion packs don't really exist anymore. That's been kind of just turned into, it is DLC or it's a season pass where you are getting pre-planned content releases that you pay for, that you can pay for up front if you want when you first buy the base game, which is like, you're pre-ordering the game, plus you're pre-ordering supposed seasonal content that's going to be 6-9 months after the game launches, etc.
Sorry to interrupt, but don't you find it kind of shit? And maybe this is just me, maybe other people agree, but don't you think it's kind of shit that you release this DLC and there are hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of people that experience the game far differently than you did because you didn't pay? So it's like the way like an expansion pack, for example, like Brood War, that changed the fundamentals of the game, and it's a competitive game, so it's just one of those things that it's almost like buying an expansion for Minecraft, and it's like, hey, you want to buy this thing for Minecraft, now you can do these completely different things, and it's an integral part of the game, whether you start in the beginning or you're adding on to a profile that you've had put thousands of hours into. But I think it's shit that you are forced to pay extra money to experience a game that you've already paid for in full, that everybody universally has the same playing experience. People may do different things within the game, but for the most part, there's a story. You go through the story, everybody gets the story. Well, if you're going to add more shit to the end and you got to pay for it, it kind of feels like you're getting duped, or you're missing out on some of the story because you didn't want to pay, or you've already beat the game and you've checked out mentally. You're like, I'm done. Like, I've completed that. It's over.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to, before I forget to, Josh, thank you for that $2 super chat there a couple minutes ago now. Bless you. So in today's gaming landscape for DLC, in regard to what you're talking about, I think it's pretty uniformly shit because of how it's handled, how it's released. Usually, not every game does it this way, or not every developer does it this way. However, it's conceptually somebody, like, let's say, you put out, like, I'm just going to use this as an example, whether it's accurate or not, just for the sake of the example. But let's say it's Horizon Forbidden West.
Yep. And
Horizon Forbidden West comes out, and that's a complete story experience from front to back. It's not necessarily, something that's so open-ended, like an Elder Scrolls title or something, where you can't just tack something onto the end and have it not fundamentally, like, dramatically change the experience of the base game from a story perspective. And then at launch, or even before launch, sometimes the company will come out and say, okay, so the game comes out here, and then in 6 months, here's more, and then another 6, there's more after that. And even though, like, let's say that it's not, let's take out the fact that maybe there's always going to be bad actors where they're trying to milk you for your money, no doubt about that. But let's just say that it's not even about milking your money from the standpoint that they aren't withholding shit from the launch day game, because game development takes a lot of time. It's shit. They might have something like, 2/3 baked that will be ready in 6 to 9 months. But from an optics perspective, for the gamers sitting at home, for some people are gonna look at that and they go, why isn't that shit just in the game? Why are you stretching it out and making me pay $30 more for that stuff? Yes. So that stuff even if it's not intentionally scummy, it feels scummy because of how it looks optically. And on top of that, it's in the midst of all of the current economic fields of video gaming, where it's just everything's a battle pass. They've got shit. Dude, Modern Warfare is selling the original sound of one of the sniper rifles in Modern Warfare, like 3 or some shit. It's going to be in the battle pass or some shit like that. It's like a actual real money. You want it to sound like the original sniper from back when you were fucking 13 years old, and you can pay for it. That's where we're at for selling that shit.
And they'll make millions. They'll
sell
millions.
It. They'll
sell it, bro. They'll sell it. They'll sell the fuck out of it.
And so to a degree, consumers clearly kind of part of the problem here. That being 100%. Said, do I agree with you? Most of the time, yes. Back in the day, I didn't really mind that much, because when a game came out with new content, like a StarCraft or a Morrowind or Oblivion or what have you, the expansion packs I never had, because they almost never directly impacted the campaign of the game that I played. Correct. It was always something that was like after the game,
Yes.
after the fact, or it was a prequel. It was
Yes.
an additive piece. And I could look at it and I could say, did I like this game enough
Yes.
to want to know more about what happened after or more about what happened before? But whenever it was something that added something that was like
To the
up in
core
the
game.
middle,
Yes.
and then to answer your question
feel
about
left out.
you feel left out, and it's hard not to. And these days there's like a pipeline for this shit. So they'll release the base game, tell you about 2 fucking releases. Both of them will be on a season pass, of which you can pay an extra $70 for, $35 a piece. And then after that series has all been done, whether they've actually ever won an award or not, it will be the Game of the Year edition, which includes the fucking 3, the full 3 experience, whatever. Then that's put back out for full price yet a fucking again. And then if you're really lucky and you're like The Last of Us and you can sell that game every 3.5 months in perpetuity, you re-release it and sell it again as a remaster 3 more times. And so there's this fucking like hot potato fucking timeline of like back and forth to the consumer and developer, and that doesn't feel so fucking good.
No.
In Final Fantasy 16's case, I know that's where we jumped off this platform, this stuff is unlikely, although I don't know, but I can't imagine how any of this would necessarily make somebody, for example, feel left out. I have a sneaking suspicion, I don't know if he's talked about it, but I have a sneaking suspicion that a lot of it will likely involve either A, some more stuff from before. I don't know how, but they could technically do stuff after from a story perspective, but it might be something like fleshing
like a
out
side
perhaps
character or some shit.
or giving you more on one of the side characters, or more of the relationship between Clive and Jill, something like that. Or it could be adding just a bunch more hunts, because there's a hunt board in the game for like high tier monsters and shit like that, stuff like that. Like I could see that being the case. Now, it's entirely possible that they do add something that would fall into the category of, oh, I should have just waited until this came over to whatever. I will say this. Do I think that Yoshi P was the guy sitting there going, we're going to wait until this comes out and then just drop this shit and fuck them up? No, they literally came out in the very beginning and said, we actually have 0 plans. They came to us and said, we are just supposed to create a game from front to back. And you can tell when you play it, there is not a lot of places throughout the game where you could point at it and go, that's a fucking avenue for DLC. It's not like Final Fantasy 15 where you literally had, like famously, I harp on it all the time, the 3 side characters individually, Gladiolus, Prompto, and Ignis, individually, one at a time in the story. Peace out. With 0 context, and then come back, and the main character is like, hey, where did you go? And they say, don't fucking worry about it. And then you go like, oh, that's gonna be DLC. And they literally 3 different DLCs for each one of those segments. So it's like, there's no obvious shit like that. So I think this is literally, Final Fantasy 16 came out, Final Fantasy 16 did fucking gangbusters. Internally, Square said, make some shit, see what happens. And so, but yes, I do agree with you. It is often, especially these days, a fucking scummy endeavor. It's very rarely something that isn't, from that kind of just a milking the shit out of it place. And I do miss the days of expansion packs. We don't even call them expansion packs anymore because they don't exist, really.
They don't exist.
Because expansion packs were like 3/4 of a base game. You don't really get that, anymore. You just get like, maybe like it's 1/4 of the base game. So if you call it an expansion pack, you probably get shot. But nevertheless, yeah. Final Fantasy 16, getting some content at some point, and we don't even know what it is. I'll let you know. We'll let you know when we know, and we'll say whether or not they're being assholes. They're probably not, but we'll let you know. I can attest to this. I don't even know what the rest of this note is because I wrote it this morning and I was half asleep when I wrote it. I can attest to this, but Baldur's Gate 3 party members. Oh yes, right, this one. Way too thirsty. Oh my god, there's never been a more horny cast of fucking video game characters in the history of video games. It's insane. Yeah, and apparently, that wasn't intentional. Apparently, that's a bug. And so, Larian is in the middle of actually fixing this bug. And so, what do I mean by that? Well, obviously, there are many characters within Baldur's Gate which you can romance and fuck, because it's D&D, and you can, if it breathes, you can fuck it. And so they were, unfortunately, the sliders in the background for this game on some of these characters, and by some I mean damn near all of them, way maxed out, 11 on the fucking horny scale. You don't even have to look in their general direction, and they are propositioning you for a good night and a fucking good morning, if you know what I mean. Every fucking one of them in my playthrough, without question. There was one character, his name's Gale. I hadn't talked to him at camp yet, really. The first conversation, he's trying to fuck me. I said, what are you doing? I haven't even talked to you for 3 seconds. You're already out here trying to get down and fucking dirty. And so that happened again and again and again and again and again for like damn near every character. And so as it turns out, yeah, not supposed to be that horny, so they're working on it. A lot of people are a little torn about it, because on one hand, a lot of people are also thirsty out there, Mr. Black.
I would imagine that the majority of people that play Baldur's Gate probably are thirsty.
And so they're like, just leave it, it's fine. They're like, why? Like, and then when they say they're fixing it, doesn't mean they're going to stop you from being able to romance all these characters. It just means that the romance part is happening way faster than it's supposed to. Like fucking within the first 2 meetings with these people, the one and done. And so that's not supposed to happen. You know what? They're going to fix it. You know what the first thing's going to happen? Somebody's going to mod it back to normal.
Oh, 100%. Or they're going to jack it up even more. They'll just dial it to 15 instead of 12.
Like, theoretically, you can take everyone's clothes off, and it's just everyone's just naked with dicks and tits hanging out. And so, like, every interaction in this game could be made comedic just by doing that. But, like, you add on the fact that everyone's just super thirsty. It's kind of funny. But nevertheless, yeah, they're working on a patch for that. Next up, Starfield. It's a game that, despite a slow news week, we can at least mention a little bit about it, since it is new and it is a big game. It's officially out now. It's no longer in the early access, and so they hit an all-new, all-platform peak of 1 million concurrent players. That was announced, I think, I think it was announced by Bethesda themselves here in the last couple days. I think it was the first day. It was like the first day at launch. They peaked at 1 million concurrent across all available platforms, which would be, Xbox, both Game Pass and not, and Steam and the Microsoft Store would be the places that you could actually get your hands on that. And so they hit 1 million, which would tell you that it's, as far as concurrent players are concerned, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 to 750,000 of the million were on the Xbox side, and the rest on Steam. And so that's it. And that coincides with another little factoid I have here, which was that Xbox sales increased by 1,000% for Starfield's release on Amazon specifically, as this data was pulled for Amazon, which, as I jokingly have here, that means they probably sold 1,000 consoles. So congratulations to Xbox for that 1,000-fold increase on the sales. But that's what, that's what Xbox needed, something like this. They needed to be able to say, we have 1,000% console sale increase off of Starfield, so that the investors are like, oh good, this Bethesda buyout or the ZeniMax was a good, we did well here, good job everyone, pat each other on the back. But it also coincidentally contradicts to a degree that statement that we kind of harped on Phil Spencer for making, that catching up with Sony in terms of console sales was not going to come off of the back of good games. Here we are, Phil. 1 down, several more to go, and you can maybe also, pull it off. But yeah, there you go. So now, with that being said, there was some other random bits in typical Bethesda style, as I mentioned earlier. And why I'm looking forward to playing it myself. The game is either giving people a religious experience, or they hate it. It's Bethesda. It's kind of what they do best. It's a religious experience or fuck yourself. And so, with that being said, David Jaffe, for example, who is the creator of the earlier God of War games and a game developer, obviously, and writer himself, said that it's in his, after having completed it, it's in his top 3 games of all time, which is... It's a steep statement for somebody of his position. And also, he said it's the best single-player game that he's ever played outright, which is a large statement to make, to say the least, especially somebody who made the original God of War title. So that definitely, that's an interesting, kind of a situation. But there's also lots of people that, as you would expect, are just poking every hole possible in the game. And there are holes to poke, no doubt about it. But yeah, it is definitely a very divisive game. On the other end of the spectrum, the exploratory side of Starfield is not quite scratching the itch for lots of people, which seemingly has pushed some new blood into No Man's Sky. You look at the Steam charts alongside the release of the new expansion, a little bit of an uptick. And a lot of the going explanation for that right now that people are coming up with, and it makes a lot of sense to me, is that there's a decent crossover between people playing Starfield and then either having played No Man's Sky before, but then going back to it because Starfield had reminded them parts about No Man's Sky that they were interested in, and they went back and tried it again or been playing it again, or people that hadn't played No Man's Sky before but had been hearing the comparisons between the two games and have decided to go and check it out. And of course, coincidentally, and I would be shocked if by accident, there was the new expansion that just dropped for No Man's Sky not long ago, and so it was a good double hit for No Man's Sky, and once again been doing well for the player counts and whatnot. And so I'll be keeping my eye on that. I'm going to see if that continues, or that trend continues as we go on, because obviously the story and the characters and all that stuff. No Man's Sky doesn't have any of that because it's a very community-driven online game. That the exploratory side is heavily in No Man's Sky's favor, and so I'll be interested to see how many people get a lot out of this Bethesda title, but then go, fuck me, I want to go exploring, and then pick up something like No Man's Sky. And the last thing I have here, mods. There's 600 of them already. It is a Bethesda game, but 600 mods already for this bitch. It's barely been out like 10 days, both in pre-release and otherwise. There's 600 mods. I'm sure many of them are nude. However, there's one here in particular that's a standout that lots of people might want to know about if you are playing it on the PC. Although there's two of these, and you're gonna want one of them, not so much the other. One of these mods is for NVIDIA's DLSS 3, which is basically their upscaling feature. The reason why it's not in the game by default is because they partnered with AMD, and so they have AMD's version of DLSS shipped with the game, and eventually DLSS will make its way to Starfield, but it's not there yet. And unfortunately, typically, NVIDIA's is better. It provides better performance increases and better visuals overall for those performance increases. And so people went ahead and have been modding this into the game. Two primarily at the forefront. One for $3 and free cents, and the other for paid. He's got a Patreon, Mr. Black, just like we do. Patreon.com/LagTV.
Nice plug.
I know. I was waiting for the moment to come.
I like that.
Nailed it. Home run. But yeah, the deal, he's got people paying us like $5 a month or some shit. But you're paying for NVIDIA's DLLs at that point, which is kind of fucking weird. And why you should probably just use the free version. Although, ironically, since this paid-for version has DRM on it, it's been cracked. So we've officially reached the part of the future, Mr. Black, where Patreon paid-for mods for games have DRM that's getting cracked, which is just a weird fucking concept, but here we are, we're in the future, and that's happening. Now, that being said, for some people, they are getting way better performance. If you have a 4000 series NVIDIA card, some people are getting like 30% more frames out of DLSS 3 than what's in the game by default, which is good because this game's frame rate does not get very high, even if your computer could theoretically launch your entire home into space. So just a heads up on that one. Don't expect to be running this bitch at 120 FPS. I wouldn't even expect to be hitting 60 for a lot of people. You might as well just be dead set on 30 FPS, somewhere in there. And if you really, if you really know what you're doing, you got a decent PC, you could probably irk a good solid 60, but it's going to take some work. Just a fucking heads up on that one. But nevertheless, there you have it. And that's all for Starfield. And now, Mr. Black, something that might be interesting for you. GTA 6. Huh.
Oh.
Huh. GTA 6 possible release date coming up, Mr. Black. In October, it is rumored that they will be announcing the release date for GTA 6, and that it is set for some time in late 2024. So it could be a lot closer than a lot of people once thought. Some people were thinking GTA 6? Motherfucker, they're making $60 billion a day on GTA 5. Why would they ever make GTA 6? That shit's not going to happen for a fucking million years. Well, as it turns out, it could very well be next year, and we might be finding out about that from the mouth of Rockstar themselves in October. And so we will now patiently wait. It's not that far away. This rumor is either going to live or die inside the next 4 weeks. So it won't be that much of a wait to find out, or 4 to 6 weeks anyway. And we'll see if it's happening. And if so, that's going to be big. There was a weird, crazy rumor that GTA 6 could cost $149 US.
Well, apparently it cost them $2 billion to make this
now,
game and to
I
market
refuse
it.
to believe there's no shot, because that would tell you that they spent like $1 billion on the base game and then they're going to spend $1 billion on marketing. Like,
that's usually it's.
Do we really think they spent, because like the biggest video game spend like in general was like 500 mil, and that was a 10-year plan for a game.
I believe it. I believe it.
You think it was a $2 billion game?
I believe it. I think it'll be at least 1.5 billion, all said and done.
Do you know the expectations for a game that they come out and say we spent $2 billion? Do you know the expectation? This game better literally do fucking everything.
Well, I think the reason why it costs so much, I mean, obviously the game is supposed to be fucking massive, but think about it. You've got to make the game, and you know they've been making this game for. I mean, they have to have been working on this for damn near a decade at this point. Like, you know, even if it's like just early conceptually, like, you know,
it's probably been like 10 years. Yeah.
It's probably been about 10 years, right? And probably super heavy for the last 5.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got all the development stuff. Then you've got licensing. Like, the licensing is probably fucking expensive. And I think it's probably really expensive because they just went out and bought CFX, which basically runs the 5M servers, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like, and you know, what I think that's going to happen is all of the GTA Online servers, RP servers, all that stuff is going to be policed by them. So I think they're doing this because licensing issues.
Mm-hmm.
And they want control. So they want to be able to just say, nope, your server, no good. Nope, your server, no good. Oh, you got this on your server? Nope, no good. And I also believe that there'll be a monthly fee or a pass that you will have to buy into. And perhaps this $149.99 version is
inclusive of that.
Inclusive of that. And I believe that the base game will probably still cost $100. But if you want the full-blown, you know, you get everything online access, I think that it will be $149.99. And I think this game, like, think about it. Music licensing, like all the stuff, and the amount of people that play this fucking game. Like, you know, every artist, every car manufacturer, every single thing that somebody does.
Although they've skirted car manufacturers for a long time by just making cars up.
Correct.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, they might,
maybe this is the one where they stop doing that. Yeah.
They could legitimately have, you know, there might be a brand like Mercedes or Porsche or, you know, Audi or somebody that wants to be in the game, a game that is, you know, who knows, right? I don't know. You know, wonder if Tesla just, you know, is all over this thing. Who fucking knows, right? So, you know, you got that, then you got your voice actors, you've got, you know, you've got so much shit going on in this game. And look at how long GTA 5 release.
What was that, 2011?
2013. So we're talking 10 years of shelf life. I would not be surprised. And the amount of billions of dollars that this game makes.
Oh my God,
like GTA
dude.
5. Think about it. You do a $2 billion, that's huge. And then you got to advertise this thing, right? So like advertisement's gonna be nuts. The amount, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in advertisement. And you know they're gonna get big celebrities involved. It's gonna be all over the place. It would not surprise me if there wasn't a $2 billion price tag, because they're making billions of dollars a year off GTA 5 still. I mean, who knows? We'll see.
GTA
also
5
don't
sold 185 million copies.
So just think about that, Adam.
So
right?
it's in the top, I think that puts it in the top 10 to top 5.
Yeah.
Because
And that's just-
Tetris is 520 million, which is just fucking insane. And then Minecraft is 238 million. Oh, it might be number 3 at that 185.
Yeah, but we're not even talking about the DLCs.
Oh no, but that just gives you an idea of just how many people.
The GTA Online stuff, like, I mean, bro, they print. So for $2 billion,
Yeah.
when they could be making, in a 10-year period, this is going to sound ludicrous, but they could quite literally make $100 billion off a game in 10 years. Like, it's kind of nuts to even think about. But, like, dude, at $150 per game, and you sell even half of what GTA 5 is sold, bruh, is money. Is print. And then you're gonna buy CFX. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't think this game will release next year. I don't. I think you'll get an announcement, but I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. Who knows, right? I mean, the leaks that we've been seeing, it does not look like a finished game. Like, it just doesn't. It looks impressive, but I don't know. Maybe it is coming and they've just been super tight, closed mouth about it. And they're like, hey, fucking Christmas time of 2024, this shit's dropping like it's hot. I mean, god damn, it's over. Like, I mean, that'll be the show.
It sounds right because this will have been like the 10th full year of
But how do they walk
GTA
away
5.
from the printing of money that they have right now with GTA 5 to then just release GTA 6? But the shareholders, I mean, the pressure might be on.
At some point, you have to, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't produce other games anymore. It's just Grand Theft Auto, really.
That's it. And they've kind of just given up on Red Dead. Like, they did the Red Dead thing, and
they did, and they there's a cadence to it. It's almost like Bethesda with Fallout and Elder Scrolls, right? They had you'd get one, and then you'd get the other, and then you'd get one, and then you'd get the other, and so and Rockstar as a company is big enough now that you could theoretically, not at full production, but you could partial and full production 2 games easily, 2 major titles like that, and so. Yeah, I think it's $2 billion? I don't think it was $2 billion. I think I could foresee.
I think it's $1 billion. I think it's going to be $1 billion or a bit more than $1 billion. But it's the advertisement, right?
Yeah.
It's the ads. The ads is what's going to cost it like double its production almost.
I think we'll hear a $1 to $1.25 billion total number. I think it's
including advertisement.
So I think it's a 750 to a $1 billion base, and then you're looking at anywhere from 250 to 500 million in advertisement allotment. I don't think even Rockstar can sit back and look at it and look at the balance sheet and go, we can take a risk on a $2 billion spend. I don't even think they can. Bro. I know it is. I know it is, but you don't even see companies that print more money than Rockstar take that kind of a leap of faith. And so I don't know. Is it impossible? No, of course not. Could they make $2 billion back? Absolutely. Are they going to? 100%.
Oh, they're gonna. Yeah,
but they still have to convince some people that are putting the money in and some shareholders going, all right, we're going to spend $2 billion on one game.
But is that going to be hard to convince when you go look at what we've done? Look at this, bro. $2 billion. You're gonna get a multiple on multiples on multiples of this investment. And not only that, think about it. If they come out and they say, guys, we have spent $1.2 billion on this game. You guys get 10 years of Grand Theft Auto 5. You're about to get 15 with Grand Theft Auto 6. It's 4 or 5 times the size of Grand Theft Auto 5. The engine, everything is groundbreaking. You're about to lose yourself in this game. It's $149.99 to go out and buy all this shit. You go and get passes on passes. All DLC is going to come with that shit. Or if you just like playing the campaign, It's going to be $100. Enjoy the campaign. Have yourself a wonderful time. I can see these guys coming out just for the headlines. Most expensive game ever made.
Oh, it will be that.
Biggest
I'm positive.
Yeah.
I'm positive it will be the most expensive game ever made. No doubt. Without question. And I think we are entering the age of the billion-dollar video game at the AAA end.
Yeah.
Or the quadruple A if you want to go to the Microsoft meme.
We're not doing that. There'll never be a quadruple A game in my life, all right?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, Starfield was probably supposed to be a quadruple A game. But so
Okay.
I don't think they said that, but
no.
Perfect Dark is supposed to be, and that game is dying in development right now.
Yeah.
So what was I going to say? Yeah, so I do believe it. I agree in that, and I believe it will wholeheartedly. It will be the most expensive game to that point ever made. I think that will be the case, and I think they will advertise the fact that it's the most money ever spent on a game. You really need to make sure that you're going to fucking hit a home run if you're going to tell everyone that it's the most money ever spent on a game, because
it's going to be a home run, bro. It's
because
Rockstar.
Because back I know, but like back when Destiny was announced and they announced the $500 million 10-year plan, the amount of expectations placed on that game were fucking insane. And as
but
good
$500 million then is like the equivalent of $750 million now. So
it's not a stretch. And I think we are entering the age of the $1 billion AAA game. Now, how many games or how many intellectual property type situations out there exist that can carry or shoulder a $1 billion production?
Not many.
Less than 5.
Yes,
So,
I was gonna say maybe 3.
Yeah,
maybe.
Like just to put it in perspective of how many games they sold, and then not including the fact they have all that online revenue to be able to justify that kind of expenditure. I mean, Skyrim has sold 60 million as of sometime this year. And Skyrim has been also re-released 100 bajillion times and repurchased by like how many millions of people over and over and over again. And 60 million. Now, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's a lot of fucking video games sold. 60 million copies. Now, that being said, if there was going to be another IP that I could sit down and say this will join the $1 billion club, it's Elder Scrolls.
Yep.
They could spend $1 billion on Elder Scrolls 6. And I'd believe them, and they could probably spend that money, and it would be money well spent. But they'd never make the money back that Rockstar would. So when you say $2 billion is a possibility, I believe it. I just don't. It's just so far past.
It's so big. Yeah, it's huge.
To go from 500 million as the benchmark straight to $2 billion is such a fucking like astronomical leap that just like, can I believe it? And when they make the money, absolutely, of course they're gonna wipe their ass with $2 billion inside the first fucking calendar year. But like, it's just such a crazy number to fucking think about. And it'll be fun to see how it pans out. I'm just interested in the game, period. What do you do post GTA 5? That's the sentence. What the fuck do you do after GTA 5? How you don't want it, like, it's kind of like the conversation we've had before. You can only get the scope to be so big before it's too much. Like, and then it's all right, the game is huge, but does it have a lot of depth? Well, would you rather have something a bit smaller that has a lot more to do and a lot more and the quality is higher? Or do you want to go in and it's like, all right, we literally 1-to-1 scale mapped like the entire fucking like continent of North America, and GTA 6 happens across the whole fucking thing, Delaware included, and you're like, woo, that sounds fucking awesome. Then you go in there and there's like nothing to do anywhere. Like, it looks really pretty, but there's nothing to do. Like, is that what we're going to get? Or is it going to be kind of like are they going to be able to restrain themselves and say, okay, we get a lot of money, we're going to make lots of money, but let's just make sure that this shit's fucking, Rockstar quality, right? And how big can a Rockstar game get?
We will see. I mean, the reveal, this is why I don't think the game's coming out next year, is because there's no reveal. There's nothing. We've got a fucking title screen. That is pretty much it. We got a PNG. So, I mean, it would be literally mind blowing if they're like, bro, this game comes out in November of 2024. Get your shit ready, and throughout the year that we're going to be showing off this game to hype you up. Like that'll blow me away. I'd be like, whoa, okay, I'm in. Let's do it. Okay,
crazy.
We'll see.
Crazy, dude. GTA 5's map is already huge. If
Massive.
It gets bigger than that, I don't even like how the fuck. Like, what do you? And we're supposed to be going back to Vice City,
which is crazy.
Right? Yeah, because you play like 10 hours a fucking day for like 2 years now.
Thousands of hours. Like, I know where everything is.
Cleveland was like that. Crimp was like that with San Andreas when we were growing up, and I never understood how he had the entire map memorized. Be like some fucking obscure behind a restaurant in the corner of the like some random place. He'd be like, "Oh, I know exactly where to go." Doesn't even open up the map. Just gets in the car and drives there.
Yep.
Not me. I can't even do that in real life in my own city, let alone in a fucking video game. But yeah, we'll wait and see. It's not long. It's like I said, 4 to 6 weeks. We'll find out. And lastly, Mr. Black, before we move on to the zero news in movies and TV, the Switch 2 was apparently demoed behind closed doors to developers at Gamescom this year. We're just finding out about this here, like basically today. Using Breath of the Wild is what people are saying was being used as a tech demo so that people could see the performance difference between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. The console is expected to also, much like GTA 6, likely launch in 2024. Now, I think when I originally tried to call a Switch 2, I said 2023 and I got fucked on, so these assholes are going to do 2024 probably. The fact that the reality is they were selling so many consoles, there's zero reason for them to move on to another one. I think that Tears of the Kingdom is a really good example of that. Even Nintendo knows, and they would have known because they're the ones making that game in-house, that the Switch is done. There is nothing left to wring out of the performance of that Tegra chip from fucking 40 years ago. There is nothing left. It is dried up. You cannot get blood from a stone. And that stone's been ground into a fucking pulp at this point. And so I think even Nintendo said, all right, we have, even for us, we got to do something else. We got to move on. We got to update this shit. Now, it's a dev console, which means it probably doesn't have any specific form factor at this point. It could literally be looking like a fucking PC. Like many dev consoles or dev kits, just a nondescript fucking box with the parts inside of it. And so we don't know. I mean, is it likely that it's going to move very far away from the Switch form factor? That's fucking unlikely. The Switch form factor is basically their unicorn. It's the Catalina wine mixer. It's the combination of the on the go and the at home. So I don't know. It would shock me if they moved away from that. With that being said, it's definitely time for a Switch 2. They've done their OLED run of the Switch 1. They're getting the Mario edition of the Switch out right now. So they're doing their flavor switches. They're getting rid of their stock. Yeah. Clearly. And now we're getting ready for, I think, the next one. And so it wouldn't shock me if indeed next year we get the Switch 2 in whatever that
I have the original Switch, so like I'm ready to get the next Switch, and then my son can just take the original and just fucking beat it up. Do whatever it is. So here's a question. I have this in the notes, Mr. Black. We'll see what your thoughts are on this or what your predictions are. So, because the Switch as a form factor is clearly a fucking home run, obviously, and they are unlikely to move away from that. So, moving under the assumption that they're going to stick with a similar form factor to the current Switch as it stands. Do you think that they still use the same memory card format? And if so, do you think that the Switch 2 will be the first real Nintendo console that has any form of backwards compatibility with its previous console? Or do you think that they're going to continue to do the Nintendo thing where they will change everything so that they will resell the most popular titles like Breath of the Wild, which will 100% be resold on this console in a remastered form, for full price? Yeah. No, I think it'll be backwards compatible. I think the next Nintendo Switch, you'll be able to play the original Nintendo Switch games on the Nintendo Switch 2. I think it's going to be better performing. I think they're going to keep the OLED stuff. I think it'll be just a better battery life, better frames, just better everything. I think maybe even the controllers, stuff like that is just everything's going to last longer. Maybe a little bit of a different style and look. But I'm with you. Yeah. I think that they will say that you're going to get a better performance with the new Switch for previous games. I think they'll use the old games. Like, hey, you already own a bunch of these games. Well, now experience them in the new Nintendo Switch. That's what I think. I mean, I could be wrong, and they could just go full Nintendo and just be like, "Hey, this only works on a Nintendo Switch 2, so get fucked." I'll even go as far as saying, I think everything will be backwards compatible. I think the controllers you'll be able to plug in. I think they're gonna go full gusto, and they're gonna wow everybody. And yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen. I think they're in it to sell more consoles. I think Nintendo is gonna still do Nintendo shit, but they're not gonna go full balls deep.
It'll be very interesting, and that's very true. I did forget because I'm getting old and it's been a long time. But the Wii technically was I can't remember if it was all games or what, but it was
the vast
backwards
majority
compatible with GameCube games. I did forget that they had that.
The vast majority of them were, not all of them, but a lot of them.
The vast majority.
With the Wii U. Same with the Wii U, right? You could put a lot of Wii games into the Wii U. So I think plus not only that, Adam, they just released, I wouldn't say just, but they just came out with the OLED. Like, not a super long time ago. So for them to then go, okay, all of that shit is null and void. Like it's you're your own thing. I think that would be a shitty thing for them to do, and I think it's short-sighted. Yeah, personally.
And then you have to wonder if they're going to take the current, and because it's going to go into 2024 anyway, and probably 2025, the economic climate where everything's very expensive, and families are not looking to, spend as much money on entertainment. The entire entertainment industry is finding out about that right now. It's been a very, different time for many platforms, streaming platforms, etc. Where perhaps they do look at it and say, okay, so let's, we allow full backwards, or as much as possible, full backwards compatibility. It's Nintendo. They're going to find a way to sell you old games at full price again for the new I don't know how they're going to do it. They will find a way. If they did that shit with Donkey Kong Tropical fucking goddamn Freeze, they are going to find a way.
I think they will do it for specific titles, but I like a Mario Kart 8, a Zelda Breath of the Wild 2.
Yes, no, I don't think it'd be like the whole catalog.
It's not going to be the whole catalog. Yes,
no,
it'll
specific
be very
ones.
specific things.
Yeah.
Experience this on the new, just a better performance overall.
It'll come with different content or something to justify buying it new.
Yes.
Or something like that. Yeah, I think that's the case.
But I think it's smart because, there are people like me and probably millions of other people that haven't bought Breath of the Wild 2, that haven't bought some of these bigger titles. And then when you go out and get a new system, you want to play the newest, hottest stuff. And if they have a better version
right off the rip,
there you go. Right. So
now, I think the controllers will be backwards compatible? That would be crazy. Would it be dope? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot of interchangeable stuff. I think they're gonna go all out, bro.
It could be that you can still use those old controllers, but then they're going to make the console comes with. They're never going to sell you just the core with no controllers. Like, that's never going to happen.
Of course not.
But the new one will have controllers that have, better rumble, longer battery life, whatever the fuck.
Yes.
But they'll probably say, you can, buy the new console. Got an old Switch? Well, now you can play with 4 players because you've got 4 controllers and, whatever, that kind of deal. Use your Pro controller from the Switch on the Switch 2.
Yes.
Things like that, which would be good because that Pro controller was like $90 fucking, and so it would be good for them to do that. So yeah, I'm super intrigued with what Nintendo does with this next one. What do they target for performance? What is it that they're shooting for performance in terms of obviously anything will be an upgrade from the Switch, literally anything. Yes. My cell phone is an update from the Switch.
I was literally about to say, this thing runs better than the fucking Switch.
Exactly.
I'm not even joking.
100%.
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I play Minecraft. My son has Minecraft. Minecraft on the fucking phone runs better than the damn than the Nintendo Switch.
Than the Switch, yeah. So that's a given. So whatever it is going to be an upgrade. But the interesting is how much. Now they're not going to shoot for 4K. That's never going to happen. I just want Nintendo games to be 1080p,
60
FPS.
You're getting that.
And just leave it there. Leave it there.
That. If it's anything less, this is a fail.
It's entirely possible that they do what the current consoles like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox do, where you get in the first 2 years, you get some titles that will do like the 4K 60 checkerbox shit, but then the new games with the newer engines and shit, they go, all right, we're just going to target 4K 30 and give you more fidelity, right? Yeah. And so Nintendo could do the thing where they go, oh, well, we're just going to give you the best visual quality and just target 30 because nobody gave a shit about that with, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and it ran at like 4 FPS. So, fuck, here it is at 20. Yeah. But if they do, like, I want them to just say, dude, I will be so erect if they come out and say, all games are being targeted 60. 1080, 60 flat.
Give me that. I'm sold. I'm in.
That's all I need, Mr.
Just
Black.
Give me that. Just give me that right there. 1080, fuck the 4K. I'm playing on a little, I don't care. 60 frames.
And for Nintendo games specifically, I don't need
4K. I'm not, no. So we'll see. We will.
Good luck. We will. But it does seem that that's not, that doesn't seem much like a rumor. That's just they had their hands on a dev console at, or not had their hands on it, but they got a demo. Devs got a demo shown to them with the dev console at Gamescom. So we'll wait and see when more info for that rolls through. Now, Mr. Black, we don't have a segment 2 to roll into, but we always have a sellout to roll into. Mr. Black, sell us out for it.
Patreon.com/LagTV. Head on over there. We are $300 away from Nova War Says. I feel like I've been saying that for 3 weeks, and because I have.
Because it's like, it does this. It's like the fucking endless roller coaster. Yeah.
Yes. We're almost there. So head on over there and throw some money at the screen if you got it. If not, hey, that's cool. Just hit the like button, share the podcast, leave a comment, do those things that are free to do. It's appreciated. And thanks to you guys showing up in a big way, we got to re-up with NordVPN. We're good for another 3 months. So big shout-outs to Nord for continuing to sponsor the podcast. And a big shout-out to you guys for showing them love, for supporting us. Not only that, they've got a great service. You can stay safe and anonymous when you're on the internet. You can watch different regions of Netflix and other streaming services at the click of a button.
I used it the whole time I was in the Philippines.
There you go. I use it now when I stream. I stream now with NordVPN running. I have zero, and trust me, I would not use it if my shit shut down on me. I have zero issues. It runs, if I stream for 8-10 hours, this thing runs for 8-10 hours. No frame drops, no nothing. I'm streaming on it. I'm playing online games. It helps my ping, which is nuts. It's a good service. They're the best in the business. Been in it for 11 years. Plus, when you use the promo code OTT, now, I do believe, I don't want to use I don't want to say the wrong thing, but let me go and check my email. But I do believe plus 4 extra months is going to be something that is staying.
Wow.
So, indefinitely.
Wow.
So, don't shoot the messenger if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's it. 4+ bonus months. Use the promo code OTT. Get that 2-year subscription, massive discount, plus 4 bonus months. So go and check it out. I actually got a bunch. Actually, let me just go over it. I'm doing it live. I'm opening up the email. I'm opening up the email here.
We got time.
I got time. 30-day money back guarantee. So if you don't like it for whatever reason, get your money back within 30 days. So go and check that out. Let me see here. 4 bonus months. Okay, here we go. The 4 bonus months are here to stay.
Damn.
So there you go.
Confirmed.
I just read the email. All right, we're doing it live. So go and check them out. NordVPN.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT and get 4 extra months plus 30-day money-back guarantee, up to 6 simultaneous devices. Stay safe. Stay anonymous, guys. And you can use it on the fly. So you can use it on your smartphone, your Mac, your PC. I mean, on virtually anything and everything. So go and check them out. And if you guys already have a subscription, thank you. And if you're up for renewal, use the promo code and get those bonuses. That's pretty much it. That's the only sellout that I got going on.
which technically we would typically move into movies and TV, but there is literally
It's nothing, man.
nothing.
The industry is like dead right now, so it's just the way it is.
I'll say this: Em and I watched the available episodes. There's another one coming out tonight for Wheel of Time. She's been enjoying that. I will say it is a well put together show so far. I've been enjoying it.
Right?
Yes, it's season 2. Yeah. Just started up. So the new one of the newer they released a few episodes. New one's out tonight, and so no doubt after I pick her up from work, we're going to be watching that. And that's been pretty enjoyable. They've been doing. Now, granted, I never read the books, so just like Game of Thrones, they could be bastardizing the whole fucking thing, and I would never know.
Who cares?
But from an enjoyment perspective, it's not bad.
Yeah, we liked the first season. Kayla and I watched that, so
it was pretty well done. It was pretty well done. Other than that, we haven't really watched much. We're if we get lucky here, we might go see a movie. But we're just back from this trip, and so she's taking literally every shift that they can throw at her, and I'm working as many hours as I can get on a stream in the hopes that somebody throws money at me, and we're just whoring ourselves to our employers with the hope of making the money back after being gone for a month. And so we'll get to a movie or something soon, but otherwise, that's it. Literally nothing for the entire segment, which means it's time, Mr. Black, to move on to
tech support. It's so weird. You just skip.
I skip right to it. I know. Well, there, you said it anyway. We at least we got the jingle in there. All right, where's my where is it? Do I still have it up? I do. There it is. Patreon.com/LikeTV, which Jeff just plugged moments ago. Place to go if you want to financially support the podcast, of course. Chiefly for now $5 or more per month, I should say. $5 or more per month. I can speak English, believe it or not. You can get a couple of things. Chiefly now, you can ask us questions on a post I put up before the podcast each week called Tech Support with the episode number in the title. And we give you answers. Some here, and sometimes, when I see them that can fit into a StarCraft game, into the StarCraft matches. But this week, what do we got? Let me see how we do. This one comes in from Seth. Adam, how was that ube pie? It was not pie. I don't think ube pie existed. If it did, I'd probably have tried it, but it sounds terrible. It was ube cake, but ube cake is fucking amazing, and I don't know. I don't know, like, we have some Filipino places around here, like restaurants and whatnot. I've never seen ube cake. I've seen ube ice cream and stuff like that, but I've not seen the cake, sadly, or a version of it. But he said, I've tried ube ice cream. Oh, there you go, for the first time last week, and as the kids say these days, it was a vibe.
Vibe.
It is. Ube is a vibe. Ube ice cream. You know what? Kids probably love it, too, because that shit is a crazy shade of purple. It is when you first see it, it's almost like blue raspberry, in that you look at it and you go, that's not from an actual food. But as it turns out, yes, it is. It's just a crazy, like, almost Barney fucking shade of purple. It's kind of wild. And it's just a root vegetable. It's basically like a sweet potato. Next up, what do we got here? The Big H. This isn't even Mr. Miyagi, but we got somebody in on the fuck, marry, kill, Mr. Black. This is, I'm like, dude, fuck ass this question. Okay, alright, yeah, sure, alright. Japanese light novels, manga, and anime.
Alright, so I'm marrying anime. I'm fucking manga.
That's like the comic book style kind of shit, really.
Yeah. And I'm killing whatever the fucking first thing you said. I don't even know what that is.
A light novel. A light novel would be like the equivalent of, like,
like a romance novel?
No, but like manga, but with more words.
Oh,
really.
Okay, yeah, I'm killing the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the way I would go too. Honestly, I'm too lazy to be reading all that shit.
Nobody got time for that.
And you know what? There's some absolutely incredible Japanese writers, but at the end of the day, I gotta keep it 100. I'm a simple man. I just want to watch my shit now. It's kind of like, and to some degree, video platforms and podcasts killed the book. In the sense that, not as many people are buying physical books per se. Yeah, I'm that guy.
Oh, I'm that guy.
Oh yeah. Let's see. The Blainer asks, did you guys ever play the Civilization games? He said 2 and 3 were my childhood best with Age of Empires 2. Age of Empires 2 was a pretty dope game as well. Did you ever play any of the Civ games back in the day?
I didn't. I have definitely like played a Civ game, dabbled, but I never bought them as a kid or as a teenager. I was a StarCraft. Like, people don't understand. Maybe they do understand, but
yeah,
from
that
like
era was like
from like age 14, 15 to like 17, 18, I pretty much only played StarCraft. Like, Adam and I went through a shit ton of games before StarCraft was like the thing. When StarCraft, like, trust me, we still played other games from time to time. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, like the majority of our binging, where we just like, we had a lot of burnt games, we rented a lot of games, we played a lot of fucking games. That happened before StarCraft. When StarCraft came, that was pretty much the only game I ever wanted to play.
Yeah.
So there wasn't no time for any other competitive or other RTSs. I looked at RTS as like StarCraft, and that was it. If I was playing other RTSs, I was like wasting time. I just didn't want to. I would still enjoy like the odd single player game. Adam and I would sit down and play these games and pass the controller and fucking chill out. But like, that was it. I own a bunch of the Civ games in that closet. I have a shit ton of Civilization PC games, but can't say I've played them.
Yeah, I've played a couple. I remember, I think the first one I ever played was 2. I didn't play a bunch of it because at the time when I did play it, it's a strategy game. It's a 4X strategy game, and 4X strategy games are very fucking dense games, and it was more dense than I wanted to fucking put effort in at the time. And then I think Civ 4 was the Civ. Well, no, I played a little bit of Civ 3. Then I played a reasonable amount of Civ 4, and that was kind of where I stopped it there. I have played other 4X games since. 4X is like is one of those genres where I want to love it more than I do.
It's like Risk, right?
Yeah, kind of like a Risk. Yeah, it's a similar kind of a concept to Risk. There are turns, but it is on a global-ish scale, and you're developing like literally as a civilization alongside others, and there are various ways to win. It isn't just straight war. Like you can have a scientific victory or an arts victory or whatever else.
That's right.
Or like the old joke where Gandhi constantly wanted to go nuclear all the time, like that old pun, because like Gandhi, you choose a world leader when you first play, and Gandhi was like historically very violent for some reason in the Civ games. It was a meme, but yeah, I played. I have played them, but I don't think as a genre I wanted, and I continue to want to enjoy them more than I do. There's some I just can't. There's too much. I think it's just the barrier. The barrier to entry is really high in that you have to dedicate a lot of time just to be able to learn enough about the game to enjoy it. The menu, there's 1,000 layers of menus, and like the icons could be 3 pixels fucking wide, and you could miss like something that's important to do in a turn because it's just so buried in shit. And unless you've been playing 4X for a long time, or you've been taking the time to like read endless guides or watching videos on, strategies and whatnot, it's just hard to jump in and enjoy, despite the fact that I think that from like, on paper, I should enjoy 4X. So, but Civ games are fantastic. There are other 4Xs out there that are also really, really fucking good. Let me see here. Yolth, sort of related to this, as far as like, the genres are concerned. What is your absolutely most hated genre of video games, a genre that you just could never get into no matter how hard you tried, Mr. Black?
Oh, man.
That's kind of tough because we played a lot of games.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of genres where I don't play them, but I don't think I've ever played a genre and been like, I fucking hate this genre.
I'm gonna go with racing.
Yeah, that's probably for you. That's probably pretty up there.
And the thing is like I kind of like enjoy the simulation racing. like realistic, like iRacing.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
even Forza to a degree. I think that'd be like the closest thing to an arcade
like,
simulator.
yeah. So it's like Forza and Gran Turismo are what would be called Simcade, and then iRacing is like we're literally trying to like simulate
real life racing, which I enjoy because I like cars and I like that stuff, and I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
But like from just a racing game, when I was younger, I used to enjoy them. You know, the Project Gotham racings and the fucking Need for Speeds and things like that.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? Cancel that. Fighting games. Fighting games take it.
There you go.
Fuck them all. Like, I actually just like completely fuck them all. I think the closest thing is Super Smash. Is like near and dear to my heart. But we're talking like, you know, see, and the thing is, I really like Mortal Kombat as an IP, and I actually think Mortal Kombat's cool. But to play, it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I could watch the fatalities all day. I think the characters are really cool. And I can really, I think I could enjoy it for like an hour or two. But to sit there and grind out fighting games, I think I'd fucks with racing more than fighting games. I got to go fighting.
Yeah.
I have to.
I think for me, so I've got, and this, it's not necessarily a cop-out, just for two different reasons. I'm going to say fighting games as well, because, but to a different degree, I guess. So like, and maybe you agree to this too, fighting games is a genre for me that I wish I was good at. Because I wish I could enjoy, because there are fighting games like Mortal Kombat, for example, and some of the newer Street Fighter games and shit have been fucking really good video games, right? They're just fucking
super
well
sweaty
made.
though, bro. It's so
it's crazy. It's crazy sweaty. But the people that like them and are good at them, you know, they enjoy. It's like StarCraft, competitive StarCraft. It's competitive. You get sweaty after a while, you know, the sweat kicks in. But like right now, like this year and next year, fighting game people are eating like fucking gods. Every fighting game coming out is a fucking 10. It's insane. So, but I also will say I enjoy watching fighting games.
I enjoy watching fighting.
So like professional fighting game tournaments is just
mesmerized
very,
by it.
very fun. And the community are so fucking hype. And it's so grassroots and fucking epic, and so from that perspective, I love it. But for me personally, trying to play it, and I've tried multiple times.
I'm shit too, bro. I'm so.
I
bad
even
at
bought a
games.
fight stick once to try to because in my head I was like, maybe it's just because controller whatever. And so I bought a fight stick and I tried, and I had DJ's a buddy of mine. Who's a competitive fighting game player, and he was like, "Oh, I'll teach you how to play." And I bro, I can't. I'm so fucking dog shit. I couldn't. Like, could I get good if I tried? Yeah, but I hated every fucking waking moment of it, so I couldn't. So I just said, you know what? I'm gonna appreciate this shit from a distance. I'm just gonna sit back and watch that shit. And then my other answer, I guess it was fighting games and. Am I going to sit here and not remember what the other one was going to? Oh, modern MMOs. And I'm stipulating modern MMOs because when MMOs were still relatively new and younger, there was something about the MMO back then, even though like the quality of life was dog water, like just everything was a grind like beyond belief. It was the genre was new and everyone was excited and into it, and it wasn't quite as I don't know, fucking quite as commoditized as it is now, and now it feels like when I played, for example, remember when World of Warcraft first came out and we were playing on like the fucking beta servers and shit. Everything was like new and exciting, and the game was fun from the get-go. If you go back and try to play World of Warcraft now, or any modern MMO that's on the short list, you are going to hear the same thing. The game gets good after X level or X number of hours, like 90 hours, 100 hours,
shit,
3 weeks worth of playing time. Use this item to power level your character to like level, the max level so that you can immediately jump. But in an MMO, if you skip all of that, that's the entire fucking experience. You're lost. You're like, okay, well, my character's this level now. I can go anywhere. But I don't know where the fuck anything is. I don't know what anything is. So if you don't get in at the ground floor when an MMO comes out and love the fuck out of it, it's for me, you don't even bother getting into it.
Not even enjoyable. Yeah. I'm with you on that.
And so like that's like for me that's the modern MMO experience. And so for me MMOs kind of died around the era of moving from Guild Wars 1 into Guild Wars 2. And that was kind of like that era, those years, whatever that was.
But I can honestly say I don't think I hate any genre of games.
No, hate is a strong word.
Hate is a strong word. So, you know, I don't hate racing games. I don't hate fighting games. They're just games that I don't run out to buy.
Yeah.
And I think like close to that would be sports, but like there are just some really fucking good sports games. Like I could sit down and just grind out a really good golf game or a really good baseball game and just fucking like
PGA Tour 2003 Tiger Woods PGA Tour.
Yeah, I mean so much. Like I fucks with those, but a lot of like I don't fuck with basketball games. I don't fuck with football games. So you know, there's just there's genres that I just prefer to watch opposed to play.
Yeah,
is probably the better way to put it.
It's the I call it appreciating it from a distance. It's kind of like it's like because I try and I can't, but I like that it exists, and I love that people love it, but I just cannot
it's not for me.
For the life of me. This is a very interesting question, Mr. Black. Comes in from Marky Mark, not our editor, but actual Mark Wahlberg by the looks of the display picture. So shout outs to Marky Mark. There's a saying: if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. When were you in the right room? So when were you, he said, so when were you the dumbest person there? I mean, the joke could be all the time. Every room I stand in. But that's probably not the case. So what's an example of when you thought to yourself or you knew you were in the right room and that like you were being in the room, you knew that you were learning something that you probably wouldn't have otherwise, you know, from typically being the one doing most of the talking to suddenly you're doing most of the listening.
Yeah. I would say, I
haven't been in a lot of rooms.
I got two answers for this.
Okay.
So the first one would be there are some real estate groups that I'm part of. And you know, where we network, like I have one next week. And you know, I won't say I'm the dumbest person in the room, but I would say like in terms of a portfolio or a success within
general experience,
field,
I'm sure.
I would say I would be sort of in the middle. And there are people that have much less than I and operate much slower and are just starting out. But then there are people that are above me that got a portfolio 10, 20, 100 times bigger than me. And you can learn from these people. So I don't ever think that there's really rooms in which I'm there and I'm quite literally the dumbest or the least experienced person.
I think they just use that as an example, but yeah.
And then the other thing would be is like is sort of flipping it around is like, you know, when I'm with my dad or I'm with somebody that has much more life experience and I'm asking them questions about, you know, manhood or like just getting advice on life as a whole, where I'm asking a question and I'm just soaking up life wisdom, right? So that could be my dad, it could be my grandfather, it could be you know, an in-law, it could be somebody that has experience where, you know, I might not be the dumbest intellectual person in the room, or I might, you know, have greater success in certain parts of my life, but I'm asking for advice in areas of my life that I don't have the experience or the expertise in. Those are the moments where I feel like I'm a listener and not really a talker, and I'm just getting their POV or perspective, and it's one that I can appreciate and learn from.
Yeah, man, it's been because I left university and just, you know, I worked, you know, in an office for that year or whatever, and then Jeff and I just was doing this, you know, did this full time and continued to do it since.
Crazy.
Which is crazy. As much as it's coming to an end, but it's been a crazy ride. I've not been in like a lot of there's not been like I'm not in a lot of rooms, you know, in quotation marks, right? Like I've not, because I'm in my room all the fucking time, and because I'm not involved in some sort of like extracurricular environment, it's not been frequent. I mean, for me to be in that. But that being said, I mean, it doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. It's just not, the frequency has not been very high. Yeah, I would say like there were a couple of moments I can think of like in life that just that in the moment I thought to myself, wow, I am fucking stupid. Like it just dawns on you. You're listening to somebody speak and you're like, oh my God, I know absolutely fucking nothing. I thought I knew something, but as it turns out, Jesus, I am a fish out of fucking water here. I would say there was one of those moments was in university, and one of my favorite profs, and he was I was talking with him after class, because this was at the time where I was still trying to figure out my major. I didn't know which one I was going to go with, and I was talking to some of my favorite profs from each of the individual, like, you know, like accounting and finance and economics and whatever else, trying to get an idea of what I might want to major in, and so I was like asking them lots of questions about, you know, what is life outside of, like, because, you know, you might like something in a classroom, but then you get out in the real world and it's a very different fucking thing. The classroom is not representative of what actually happens out in the real world. So, and all of my professors, because it was an accredited university for business, all of them had many years of actual success in their individual, environments, whatever they were teaching. Whatever they were teaching, they literally had to have X number of years in whatever they're doing. And so there was a couple of my professors who were like really, really successful outside doing their thing and whatnot. And one of them was my stats prof, who was in the military for a good long while, and then after that got out and taught himself business and statistics, and then went out and fucking did shit for like a decade, and then became a professor afterwards. And just coincidentally, he's just one of those guys who's just good at everything he fucking does, and then became like the greatest professor I had in the 4 years of this university. And I remember going to him and talking to him about stuff and asking him about, you know, what is it like out there, and what is, you know, what do you actually do, and what does this all look like? And in his explanation and walking me through all of that, I just sat there and I went, this is way the fuck over my head. I'm out of my depth beyond. And he was the guy that asked me if I wanted to do my master's immediately after graduating, because he was the guy who ran the master's program, and he thought that I could skip the experience part and go straight into a master's. To which I said, one, I don't have $20,000. And two, at the time, I was ready to just go to work. I just wanted to go get experience. I didn't want to go and do a master's right away, because nothing that I wanted to do required a master's. And so he was like, oh, that's fair. You can come back and do it later anyway if you want to. But that was one of those times. I sat there just listening to him, and he was a great storyteller. And like the whole time in my head, I was just thinking, Jesus, Lord, fuck me. Because at that age, I'll say for me, at 21 years old, I legitimately thought that I had it all fucking figured out. I thought I was a fucking goddamn genius. Because up to that point, you know, I was near the top of my class, school was fucking whatever. You know, I had never had anything put in front of me that I was like miserable at. And so I get to university, I continue to do really well. And then you get to that age, it's 21, especially if you're a guy, not only are you invincible, like everything is firing on all fucking goddamn cylinders at 21 years of age. You think you are the shit? Fuck me. You think you are God. And I did too, until I sat there and listened to this prof and I went, I'm a fucking moron. I don't know a damn thing. I am as dumb as a fucking post. And so that was one of those moments. And then, like Jeff was saying, you know, obviously, if you're very lucky, like we are, to have experienced and wonderful father figures in our lives, to be able to sit down and talk to and have them legitimately interact with you and give you that experience. Every time you ask questions like that, it does, especially even though like now, and I think even more now than ever before,
course.
You get in your 30s and you say to, like, we joke all the time, we're getting old, right? You know, and we think that we've seen so much at 30. And then you sit down and you talk to our fathers. You know, my dad's like 72. Your father's in his 60s, I think, at this point.
He is. Yeah.
And you realize that they're like double our fucking age. And there is a lot of life that happens between the ages of 35, 36, and 65, 70. There's a lot of shit that goes on in that time. And you realize that you don't know anything. Like, you know some shit. You know more than you did when you were 20.
Of course.
But you are still so woefully fucking far beyond. Like, you have a lot of shit to, and that's normal. You have to. That's the other thing too, is that you have to remind yourself there's a reason why they have all this experience. They're fucking 65, 70 years old. There is a lot of experience that comes with just living that long. You haven't gotten there to that point yet. You know, we're literally just getting, and for all intents and purposes, we're in the middle.
Messy middle, right now.
Right? So it's like the awkward time where it's like it's like you feel like you should probably have figured everything out, but you haven't figured it out yet, and you think that you probably should have, because in your mind you're thinking, you know, mom and dad had this, that, and whatever the fuck else going on, and then it dawns on you that they were also fucking treading water and trying to figure out what the fuck was going on at our age. And so it's just one of those things. You like, I think my as wordy as this answer has gotten, I think I would cap it with this: is that it is very rare. It is very rare to have an interaction with anyone, regardless of their age, even if they're younger than you, where if you enter that conversation earnestly and talk to them about something that they might be doing that you've never done before, or you don't have much experience in, it is very uncommon for you to not be able to walk away a little bit wiser or more intelligent than you were before. And so it's very uncommon. Some people have a hard time engaging with people and decoupling the fact that depending on maybe what type of life that person leads or whatever, that they go, I can't possibly learn anything from this person. And the reality is that there's very few people, very few, where that applies. Yeah, and most people you're going to learn a lot from.
Yeah, it really has nothing to do with your social status, It really doesn't. It's all about, you could talk to anybody, bro. You could go to an old folks home and sit down.
That'd be a top place to go to.
And
honestly.
They'll have, you might get some crazies and they're going to tell you some fucking wild shit. And, but like, and the same thing. I mean, I had a conversation with a young guy. He was 21 and his buddy who was 23. And they started out doing some YouTube stuff. Like my trainer, he has his own like fitness brand and different things. And they wanted to sit down and ask me a bunch of questions about YouTube and social media and things like that. And I'm helping these guys out and giving them my knowledge, the things that I do. But then they're talking about some of the stuff that they're doing, and they're 21 and 23. And I'm learning about things that I didn't really understand. And then also it's their energy. It's the fucking, it's this wide-eyed, holy shit. And it brings me back to when I was young, and it lights a fire under my ass. And, they're enjoying speaking with me. And in a roundabout way, I'm enjoying speaking with them. And I'm, it's a give and take thing. So, if you're willing to listen, some people just can't shut up, right? That's the problem. And they think that they're the center of the fucking universe.
Yes.
And the reality is you're just the center of your own universe.
Yes.
There's a lot of shit moving on all around you, and it's just a matter of shutting the fuck up and listening. And if you do that, sometimes you just listen to a fucking idiot and you're just like, yeah, bro, you're no. But if you have an open mind, there's shit to learn.
It's true.
I mean, even my son, he does. I mean, kid's 4 years old, and there's shit that he does and says where I'm like, wow,
that makes a lot of sense.
There's
a YouTube channel called The Soft White Underbelly. And it's a channel where this guy has dedicated an unimaginable amount of time. Like, there's so many interviews, it's insane. Interviewing all walks of life, and a lot of them are people who are in what you would consider to be very unfortunate or less than ideal circumstances, whether they're hardcore drug addicts or abused sex workers, or if they're just extraordinarily poor individuals from, the corners of the country that you don't like, nobody ever fucking thinks about, et cetera, et cetera. Like anything you can think of, damn near, like this guy has interviewed somebody that falls into, a category for it. And some of the people that he finds in interviews, fascinating to listen to them tell their life story. And because everyone lives such an incredibly different life, even if it appears that you're living very similar lives, you can always glean like something from anything that they're talking about, even if it's so different. Like you're like, what the fuck do I learn from somebody who's been abusing meth for the last fucking 10 years? And then you listen to some of them, you're surprised because somebody that, for example, somebody that's been hung up on drugs for that long, and they're very self-aware when they're hung up on drugs, they do a lot of introspective thinking, and then some crazy smart, self-aware type of shit come out their mouth that you've never thought about yourself before, and you just think, Jesus Christ, that's a heavy fucking sentence. You never thought about that before, kind of a thing.
Yep.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of good content out there to watch for that kind of stuff too. If you're somebody that's interested in just learning from anyone and everyone, and hearing about their experiences, yeah, that's a good channel to check out. Last question, Mr. Black. Then we're gonna do some StarCraft because I've got to leave to pick up M from work today. This is an odd question, and the answer is probably yes from both of us immediately. Henry asks, $1 million, you get $1 million, but whenever anyone in the same room as you farts, loud or silent, you automatically point at them and announce that they farted. Do you take it? Are you serious?
Yeah.
I get $1 million? I get $1 million, and all I do is out people shitting themselves in public? Yeah, bro.
Bro, I can figure out a way to make that shit funny and not awkward. I'll figure out the fucking formula. And even if it was awkward as shit, and they told me to fuck off every time they did it, I'm still doing it. It's $1 million.
Oh, 100%.
That's $1 million.
That's the easiest yes I've had in these questions in a while.
I'm doing that for 10 grand. 10 grand, bro. I'm calling your shit out. 10 G's. Just to say, ha, you farted.
Easy money. I'll take it all day. I'll take it all day. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to go record some StarCraft. And this time, hopefully the audio isn't so fucking loud. That was insane. Oh my God. Updates are just fun. They're always a fun time. But we'll see you over on the StarCraft casts. Thank you if you were here live. Bless you for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves. For everyone listening on the RSS feeds, thank you very much as always. Patreon.com/LagTV if you want to financially continue to support this. As Jeff has said, we've been up and down. Literally, if you looked at the graph, the shit's been a fucking roller coaster in the last like 6 weeks. We've gotten closer and closer to Novor says, and then a little bit drop. We're just up and down, up and down. But if you keep picking away at it, I know you guys have it in you. We're gonna get there. And until we see you next week, stay safe out there. Have a good one, and peace.
Hey.